All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final live stream for the summer box for ArtSnacks Quarterly. I'm just going to talk a little bit here at the beginning and give you a little introduction to what we're going to be doing as people are joining. So if you're hopping in and you have any questions, this is just the beginning, and I am just going through everything we're going to be doing today and telling you a little bit more about ArtSnacks. And as we go, just feel free to drop questions into chat. And I do have a moderator here, and she's going to be helping me out pulling questions up on screen if I miss anything. Um, so welcome. Today we are going to be using products from the summer box, and we focused a lot on the graphite pencil that came, and we focused a bunch on that last time. So I am going to be reaching for it like a little bit tonight, but I'm mostly going to be focusing on the fine liners and the markers that we got. So this is going to be more of like a doodle heavy session that's going to focus on lettering, where like last time we pulled in some more, like if you remember, we were doing some more like photorealistic graphite stuff. So if you want to see this drawing, definitely, and like me using this graphite crayon, definitely go check out the previous live stream. You can find it on our YouTube. And I did finish this Padme drawing that I started in the last one. So fun. If you do want to see like close-ups of this, I can probably do that like later in the stream. But just wanted, in case you had tuned into the last one, wanted to give a little update. And today we are going to be doing lettering. And so I wanted to give you two different techniques to explore. So we're going to be doing some brush lettering techniques with the King Art brush pens. And I actually have like, I think these are like two different color families here. So like these came in a pack and these ones came in a pack, and I'll maybe use a little bit of both. And then the other thing we're going to be doing is working on like a drop shadow or a block lettering style, and like how do you determine how to like make your letter look blocky, and like what type of line work do you use, and like guidelines do you use to help make that look blocky. So for block lettering like this, I rely heavily on guidelines. So I'm just going to like show you how I draw my guidelines to make different shapes. And I have a couple different examples to pull from. And of course, if through the stream you are more curious about a certain technique, or I didn't clarify something far enough, you feel free to drop a question in and ask me more about it, and I'll give you a little demo on the spot. So I just wanted to add one more detail in case you are new here, completely new to ArtSnacks. My name is Caitlin. I probably should have said that at the very beginning. My name is Caitlin. I work with ArtSnacks for their quarterly subscription. I have been the resident artist for over a year now, or just about a year, since we started the quarterly style once we switched off from monthly. So every quarter I teach 3 to 4 live streams using all of the supplies in the box. And if you're unfamiliar with ArtSnacks concept for their products, they do these subscription boxes that are really highly curated with high quality products, and they're sent out quarterly. They have 3 different subscription options to choose from. They have the ArtSnacks quarterly box, which I would say is like their, like, I don't know, general box. I don't want to call it a basic box because it is like beyond basic supplies. But it's kind of like if you are an artist and you like a little bit of everything, then ArtSnacks quarterly is for you. And if you like watercolor, there is a watercolor snacks box, and then there's also an art journaling snacks box, and every box kind of has its own personality. Every box has its own resident artist. So if you're interested in those other ones too, they also have their own live streams that'll happen right here on the YouTube channel. So you can go check out previous live streams, or you can go like save a live stream that's coming up. So definitely check those out. And yep, you can go to artsnacks.co. You can see the banner right now with the website and look at all of the subscription options. So just wanted to say that before I move on here to our lettering lesson. So I'll start with doing some brush lettering first, and then we're going to get into the block lettering. So let me find a clean page. And I am working in the sketch pad that came in the box. It is the Royal Talons Van Gogh drawing and sketch paper. And yeah, it's great. It's really great for lettering. And it has like a lightweight paper, but not too light because it can handle some liquid media. And then it also has perforated edges. And my camera sometimes doesn't like when I just have my sketch pad here and needs help focusing. Sometimes I have to like bring something up close so it like refocuses. There we go. All right, so I'm going to be using the brush pens from King Art here, and I just don't want to have my blank paper first there, so it's not something to focus on. So I would say when you're learning to do like that script style lettering and faux calligraphy, and it's faux calligraphy because you're not using like a calligraphy pen, you're using like a brush pen to do it. I think like learning on a brush pen is going to be your best intro to like script lettering. So it is ideal to start with this. And the biggest concept that you need to learn with brush lettering is to be doing a really thin, low pressure stroke on the way up and a thicker, harder pressure stroke on the way down from like how you draw your letters. So a good thing to start with as like a drill is to kind of do some squiggles that go up and down and practicing that light to hard pressure. So you go light pressure on the way up, hard pressure on the way down. And moving between these is going to create those thin and thick lines. And you'll be surprised like how thick your lines are even with a very light pressure. So you probably need to use even lighter pressure than you think. And another thing to keep in mind is if you are someone who has like wanted to try lettering and you watch a lot of like lettering Instagram reels or TikToks or something, you're probably also watching like sped up footage. And so you also are going to be wanting to go way slower than you think as well. So definitely take your time with these drills, and like you don't have to like move through them really quick. And maybe once you have more practice, you'll be able to move quicker, but definitely think about taking it really slow. And something else I wanted to touch on is the way you hold your pen. So don't think about holding it like straight up and down and putting pressure that's going to go like straight back onto the nib. You want to hold it to the side so that when you're doing light pressure, it's only touching like the very tip of your pen. And then when you're doing more pressure on it, it's going kind of like, instead of going like straight down from the tip, it's going to be using more of the broad side of the brush stroke itself. So as you hold more pressure to it, it's using the broader side of the brush nib. So these are some of the drills you can do. And once you get that kind of down and you can make a really consistent thin to thick lines, then you can move on to practicing some individual letters. I'm just gonna like try to keep changing colors as much as I can to like keep it fun. And let's just start with I don't know. I've been doing the word ArtSnacks a lot, so let's just keep with that theme. And I'm going to do a lowercase a. So you could also, I use like more of my personal handwriting style. So just however you would write an A in cursive, like you don't have to change the way you draw an A. And if you want to, you can. There are a few letters I do change specifically just when I write in script, like first when I write like in cursive. But I would just stick to like how you know how to move your hand, so you're not like changing so much at once. And the A, I would have like a thin line here and then thick line coming down, and then thin going up and thick going down. And I do have a little imperfection there, and I can just go and clean that up like this if I wanted to. And that is something that can happen when you're not like using, like I wasn't using like the full broad side of the brush nib for that. So I can kind of keep that in mind for the next one, try to fix it. Still did it a little bit. That's okay. Just fill in that gap there. So when I'm writing this in a full word, I usually am picking up my pen during that part, because I would come up, like, let's just say it had, I don't know, an E or something before that. So if I go to an E and then I was going into an A, I usually stop there and I pick up my pen instead of like keeping it on the paper. And then I'll come down and do that brush stroke in front of it like that. So you can kind of get in a groove where you can find out when it's best to pick up your pen and when to keep going with a stroke. I would say picking up your pen more frequently, like you'll find like good moments to pick up your pen, and it creates a cleaner look, especially when you're using, like I would call these markers they're like on the juicier side with their ink, and so you don't want to like oversaturate an area, and it makes a more consistent look because you're using the same amount of ink like on the whole thing, where like these markers can get darker like if you're layering on top, and so if you're going back on some of your strokes, then areas of your lettering will be darker than the others. So I think it creates a cleaner look overall to pick up your pen, and you'll just, as you keep going, you'll find like where is a good time to pick up my pen. So let's just we can do art. So I'm going to start, and I'm just going to draw that top part really quick so that I can use this full side of my brush. And go in for my R, and I'm pressing hard on that top part of the R and on the way down. And then I'm not going to go all the way up to the top of my T. I kind of went up, picked up my pen, and now I'm going to go down. And then I usually use the thin side of my pen to do like crossing my T's. You can do whatever, or you can do like a wavy line, whatever you're going for that. So I'll kind of draw some little helpful like guidelines on here, like so you're like going up on here and down on those strokes. Okay, so up is thin, down is thicker, and so you can kind of see it goes down, this is up, but then this part's going back down. You can draw little fun guidelines on here. And some of them, like the R kind of has that like hybrid one right here with that little cross on it. And that's just another thing, like getting familiar with how much pressure you're putting on the pen, and being able to do those more like in between thicknesses as well. Once you get this down, you can kind of use any like marker. Like it doesn't even have to have like a really obvious brush tip, but you can still get this effect with it. I even did lettering with one of the graphite pencils and was able to like achieve this look of thin and thick. Even though this doesn't have like a brush nib that's going to be really flexible. Let's see if I can do that here. So I'm just changing the pressure that I'm drawing with, pressing down really hard for the downstrokes and lifting up, being really light for those upstrokes. And this is just a, like, I think Sarah had put in chat, great way to loosen up your hands. Exactly. This is just like a drill that you need to do over and over and over again, and your muscle memory will kick in to know to go really light on the upstrokes or really heavy on the downstrokes. And then you can kind of turn anything into be able to do like a script thing like that. Another thing, you can kind of do it a little bit with fine liner that has like a bigger nib. I would probably not try on too small of a nib because you don't want to damage it too much. But it's another one that you can definitely apply more pressure. It's not going to be as obvious, but if you're doing something that you're trying to make look more like a calligraphy look, it's going to have more of that subtlety to it. So definitely not super obvious, but you can still see that it has thicker downstrokes and thinner upstrokes. So that is that is like the foundational lesson for script style lettering. Now to jump to how to apply this and you actually lettering different words. I think something I do that maybe wouldn't be obvious when you're starting out is I like to write out the word I'm going to be doing first in pencil. Like, so let's say you're drawing this word to be into a piece of artwork, so you have to have it fit into a certain space or, you know, fit around different objects. This is how I like plan out how to put a word into something in a certain area. So I would first write out the word I'm going to do in pencil, and then I can number them here. There we go. And then find your middle letter and your end letters. And sometimes you'll have like an even word with even amounts of letters, so you'd have 2 in the middle. But I like to use this as a little guide. I am the victim of forgetting a letter a lot in words. I even had to like look over this a couple times and be like, that is right? And so I like to have a little cheat sheet there to help me out. And then if let's say I'm just going the length of this paper, then I know my A needs to be here. I draw a tiny little A. My N is going to go in the middle, and my S is going to go here. And then I know I need to fit my other letters within that. And that's going to be my C. My T are going to go in the middle for that. And this is going to help me space things out. And I'll keep this very light pencil there. But I know that if I kind of draw, like no matter what size I'm going to be drawing my script at, I know that that's kind of the amount of space that these letters can take up. And I like to put that in there as a little guideline. And so let's see, I'm going to use a color I haven't done yet. And so now I can go through and write this, and it's going to be very nicely and evenly spaced because I put those tiny little letters on there to help me out. Can see I get a lot quieter when I'm lettering. So the focus. And a little fancy T. Yeah, so I didn't get cut off at the end. I had plenty of room for all of my letters there. And yeah, so that's like a good way to plan out the spacing. And that also works if you're going to be like that script style where you're like changing the heights of your letters to move up and down. You can also use it like that. So let me just show you how I would do that really quick. And I would still space out the same. Let me see if I can remember. Had the my cheat sheet is on my other page. Put the N in the middle. T, C, K, A, ArtSnacks. All right. Oh, and I got blurred out again because the camera does not like a blank white sheet of paper, I've learned. So let me fix that. Come on, focus. There we go. Okay. Goofy camera. Okay. So now I'm going to, let's get a different color here. And so now that I know like where these letters are going to be, I have my little very, very faint pencil lines there. I can kind of interpret like as I'm going. I know I can move around the letters height on like the page, but know kind of where the space is that I need to keep them in. So this is like a really popular lettering style you'll see on a lot of like signage or journals and different things. So, and it's really just about kind of changing the height of certain letters. So I'm going to go all the way up here for this R, but not go all the way down. And then the T, I'm not going to start all the way up here. I'm going to drop the T down a bunch. And then maybe this S kind of stays in the center. This will get dropped down a bunch. And you just kind of play around with the different heights of the letters. Oh, and that was supposed to, I was like, and then a K, and that's not a K. That's going to be a C. Let's see if we can. Woo. So you see that style happen a lot on like different cards and stuff like that. So you can, by putting like little hints for yourself of how your letters are going to spaced out, that's how you can have like consistent spacing, or be able to kind of on the fly decide placement of letters, but know that you're still staying in the same area. And I did mention like changing my lettering style a little bit when I do script versus when I'm just doing cursive. Like when I just do cursive, because I prefer to write in cursive in like my like regular handwriting, I do my S's like this. Maybe you learned that in school. I changed my S's to this style for lettering because I like how it looks better. I think it looks a little fancier. And I do like how it performs with brushed lettering. It's a little bit more smooth of a motion to do than this one. But definitely just pick whatever one. There's no right or wrong. I just wanted to tell you the ones that I change. Another one is a B, which I taught how to do a B, like a lowercase b like that. I think this one can look like an F or a different letters sometimes. It doesn't always like look like a B. And especially if you're doing something more artistic with your letters, then when the letters are like separated or not in, you know, like straight across, you kind of have to like take some more time, like your brain takes more time to read it. And then like maybe it would misinterpret this as a B, and then it becomes a little bit more like unreadable. So I like to change my B a little bit for this, and instead I go down, and then I'll go up and do this instead for a B. So those are just some of the letters I like to change when I'm doing brush lettering. And next I'm going to be showing you how to do block lettering, and then maybe at the end we'll have time to combine both of them together. And we're gonna move over to some block lettering, but I'm going to try to keep something on my white paper so that my camera doesn't get confused. I did have, oh, keep that on there. I did have a little example on my first page here. Let me just pull that up. So we have this block lettering up at the top, which I'm going to start with. And then I kind of expand on it with this one. And I have like a couple other examples to show you once we get those two down. So let's start with the art word. Oh, and I did want to mention I am using two tools that weren't in the box. I'm using this mechanical pencil from Zebra. It is the M301 MP Zebra mechanical pencil. It is available in the shop. So if you liked how this pencil was performing, you can go check it out. And then I'm also using this like ruler or scale, and it's nice. It's really tiny. So I love having this in like my pencil bag. So I always have like a straight edge with me. But it's like a triangle shaped one. So it has like a couple different sides and lots of different kinds of measurements, but it does have a side with inches on it. It has like a 6-inch ruler on one side. So that's the side I use the most. If I actually need to do measuring. Other than that, I just kind of just use it as a regular straight edge. And gotta get this focusing. There we go. So first, I'm just going to start out with art. And to start out, I'm just drawing myself two guidelines that are parallel to each other. So they're the same distance apart the whole time. And to do a block letter, when you look at this in like a lettering book or something like that, it's going to ask you to draw your regular print letter, and then it's going to say to fill in the block around it. Like, oh, I got blurry. And I think that's a pretty good way to learn. So that's how I'm going to be starting out with this. Sometimes I like to draw first like a box that the whole letter is going to go inside of. And if I was drawing this word art and I wanted all of the letters to be the same height and width to each other, I'll just go ahead and draw 3 boxes that they're all going to go into. So I have my boxes here. And then starting out with the A. So we draw your basic A shape in there. And you can decide you want to put it'll totally change like the personality of the letter. And so just like go with what you want, but you could put the like crossbar way up high, you could put it way down low, and that's just personal preference. Just go with what you think looks cool. Another one is like, do you keep the top pointed or do you like, flatten out the top like this? I usually go for like the flattened out look. And I'm going to start to draw my box in around the letter. And what I focus on here is mostly just making sure I'm keeping really consistent width around all of my like legs to all my letters. So if it's like I don't know, that's probably like 1/4 of an inch or something, like just trying to keep that same thickness so everything looks really consistent. So I'm going to draw in the little top part here, I'm jumping up the same width as this and drawing that part because that's where I want my crossbar. So we have an A. And then in my next little box, I'm going to be drawing an R. And I already know my R is going to have a straight edge right at the edge of my box. And then I can go ahead, I'll drop down another guideline for the side of my R there. And then I'll swing out the top portion.
Hey, Caitlin. Sarah here.
Hello.
For those of you watching, hi, I'm Sarah. I'm co-founder of ArtSnacks, and I'm the timekeeper, producer, commenter here. We have a comment that was just dropped. They're having a little bit of trouble seeing the pencil.
Okay.
And I know that your camera gets blurry sometimes. So
Gotcha.
maybe every few strokes, if you want to either zoom in or bring the paper up, give us some
let me
detail
see
shots.
how it looks if I just put my camera down here.
I think that looks good.
I think, and maybe that will be better. It'll definitely, I'm going to outline these letters soon.
Cool.
With fine liners, and you'll be able to see them a lot better.
Got
so it. If you still can't see it, hang in there. It'll be coming.
I think this is good. If you are in the comments, give us a thumbs up. Let us know if you can see it.
Great. Thank you.
Great. No problem. Carry on.
And then I'll be drawing the letter T here. And just trying to make sure I'm keeping all that consistent width the whole way around. And I am great. Awesome. I am making sure that I am being a little light-handed with my pencil, so I'll keep that in mind too. I think just because I'm so used to drawing this part as the a sketch draft version, so I'll definitely keep that in mind. I can use a bit heavier pressure, knowing that it's going to show up better. So I have my basic block letters. And then because in the next part you might be erasing a lot of your work, because you're trying to get your angles right for this boxy thing I'm going to be showing you, I like to go ahead and outline my letters with an initial outline, so that if I have to go back and erase something, at least I don't have to redo this part. So I'm going in with the King Art fine liners that came in the summer box. It was a set of 6. I'm using the 08 size. It was the biggest size that came out of that set of 6. And I typically gravitate towards fine liners that are going to be on the bigger side. I'm just going to outline this. And yeah, I for a long time I only did black and white lettering in my artwork. Once I got out of college, I did all sorts of stuff in college, because I was an art education major. So I took a little bit of everything, all disciplines, and I really loved it. But then somehow I settled with lettering right out of college, and I stuck with it for years and years and years before I got back to doing a little bit of everything. And so fine liners on sketch paper was my bread and butter for a long time. So it's kind of fun to revisit this. So now we're going to figure out how to do that 3D look. You can it can make the letter look blocky, or maybe you're going in just to make it look like it has a shadow, like it's floating or something like that. And so we're going to use I think the best way I can show how this works in my brain is if maybe you learned how to draw a cube this way. Oh, and I won't use a pencil, I'll use a marker so you can see that better. Where you draw a box, and then you draw another box. This is how I learned how to draw a cube. And then you connect that box, the two boxes at the corners, like this. And that's gonna be giving you that 3D shape, okay? So you wanna think about lettering and block lettering the same way. That all of them, you're gonna be creating these, you're pulling away that top layer from a back layer. And they're all going to have really consistent angles. Like these are going to be parallel with each other, and all of these are going to be coming at the same angle. And that's what you need to focus on with the lettering. So this might look a little clunky, but if you had the letter T, I'm going to try to do this as clean as I can here. And then you started another, maybe I'll do this in a different color. Started another letter T here. So just like the cubes, we started with two different ones and layered on top of each other. And then you would be connecting all those sides that are visible. And so some of these, like it looks confusing because you can see all these like background, or maybe this one is the background actually. But these would be underneath. Those are going to be our pencil lines that you can't see later. But conceptually, that is what we're thinking about when we're like making these letters 3D. And if you are a digital artist, you might be a little bit more familiar with this, of like creating two different layers of that text. And when you pull back one or move one, it creates that drop shadow or layered effect that you're looking for. But that's how we do it on paper. I can show you really quick. Let me just take one of my big graphite pencils. And if this was the front one, I can fill that in. So it's kind of covering in those lines that are in the middle. And then all of these parts would also be filled in. This still is going to look a little bit confusing, but those thicker red lines wouldn't be there. Like maybe you can start to see that a little bit. I think if I take my fine liner and outline this, then you actually would be able to see it pretty good. Oops. And you can choose to add like more lines if you want. Like you could add a line coming down from like the side of the T and that mid line, and you start to see that 3D effect. So yeah, so that's kind of how we build on top of that to make the big block letters that look really cool. And when I'm doing like really, I would say I'm going to be doing more doodly stuff like during the live stream session, because doing really intricate letters takes a lot of time, and I'm trying to pack a bunch into this live stream. So you end up doing a lot of measuring and stuff to do like a full page of big block letters. So that's why I just started out with like a short word, and we can demo on that. And then I have another one that I kind of half started and that we can go into in a little bit. So once we get the basic outlines of our letters drawn, you then need to decide which way you want your block to be going. So like first, I always picture when I'm lettering, a lot of the time I always picture that the sun is right here, I guess. And so it's always shooting like over my letter like this and then casting a shadow like down at that angle. So that is what I'm going to be imagining for this one as well. So sun is up here and pointing down onto my letter. And then you're going to want to be pulling then your angles of that light. That is how you're going to get your diagonal angles that like you see right here. And then your like to do your other angles. So other than these are going to be your diagonals. And you want that to be consistent across all of your letters. Sometimes I like go in and I just like put those there. And these are all guidelines, so you can erase them. You can bring them down as far as you want. Like we can make these block letters huge. And sometimes that might be what you're doing too, because I'm sure you've seen letter styles that go all the way down like this. And then like, you know, this is like the end of the page. So that's how you would pull those all down to do something like that. We're going to drop it off a little bit before that today. But then when you're drawing in the sides, like this side here, it's just going to mimic the letter that you already have learned. So after I figure out this angle and I decide the thickness of my block letter, I'm going to add in another line that is parallel to the side of my letter. And again, if you want to go ahead and draw through your other line just to be able to visualize it a little bit more, like you can erase this. You know, we're working in pencil right now. So just go through and draw that whole thing so that you can see it really well. All of these corners are also going to have the diagonals pulled from them. So you can go through and like I'm eyeballing this, but if you wanted to go through with your ruler and, you know, do really, really sharp lines, have at it. Sometimes it does require some measuring, especially when you're trying to get all your letters like the same size. That's usually where I fall into needing to do a lot of measuring. So there is pulling down my diagonals, but then I need it to stop here. So I pulled down the side of this A and it's going to meet that diagonal right down here. And then when I draw the bottom of the A, it's going to be parallel. So that one's just going to go straight across in the same line as the bottom. And I will go ahead and draw a guideline right here. And that's where I know all my letters are going to come down to meet each other. And that's where this one will stop too. So the only thing left then is to add this side of my A up. And I probably can't even see exactly where that one, like I won't be able to see this part where it goes up. I can just go up and then stop. If you wanted to be able to see it, if this was dropped down a little bit lower, you could go like that and it would be like that in the back. And then you could pull up to that angle, depending on how thick of a block you were doing. That doesn't look bad. So we keep it like that. So this has a lot of lines in it here and back here that like we won't be seeing once this is completed. And then you just continue on this concept using the same one. Like you want all the letters block to come down to this level and using and repeating all of those diagonals.
Hey, Caitlin, popping in here
Hello.
real quick. You are halfway through this lesson, so you've
Awesome.
got about like 45 minutes left.
Great. Thank you.
No problem.
So I'm just going through, extending all of the diagonals. And then I'm going to start on mimicking that line that on this that's going to be parallel with the top of the letter. And curves are kind of tricky because you want this to be slightly angled downward here to kind of match this line. They are a little tricky. It's just going to be something trial and error to draw, and your brain will kind of tell you like, "Ooh, that doesn't look right," and then try again. So they are a little bit tricky, but you do want to just think about it's this same curve, same height and width, but then you need to just move it down instead of like completely stopping it at the exact same point. It's just going to be moved down a little bit. And then this one is going to go up because it's mimicking this one. And in here is going to be the tiniest little sliver, but we can add in a diagonal like that on the inside. It's like we didn't add one in here, but I don't think you're going to be able to see anything. It's just going to be filled in for that one. And then our T. So we already know the T is going to come all the way to here, go up, take this T part, extend it. Yep, so I actually need to go all the way down to there. Oops. Let's try that again. And then, oh, I see where I did that. This line is confusing me, so I'm going to take that part out. So that's going to be the drop down from that side of the T. This one coming all the way up here. There. It was much further away from the T letter than I thought. Great. All right. So now we have all of that blocked in, and we can go over that part with a fine liner to just help be able to visualize it a little bit more. I always like being able to see past some of my guidelines. I'm going in with a slightly smaller, the 03 for this one. And remember not to extend your fine liner into the main part of your letter where you had those guidelines. And you can choose to do all of those little internal guidelines we did, or you can just do the outline. I think the outline kind of looks cool. I'm going to try that first. I can always go back and add in that part if I want to. So there we have that drop shadow area. And then in my example, I just used the, I have a light gray, there we go, a light gray pencil, or sorry, marker. Let me go ahead and I'm going to erase a couple of these lines that are on the top of my letters. Sorry, I'm shaking the camera a bit there. And then I don't really care that I have pencil lines in the back. I'm just going to go over them. And I'm going to fill in that whole area with this light gray marker. Since you can kind of see marker strokes, like it's going to layer on top of each other and get darker. I try to do like single strokes over, and I try to keep them all kind of heading the same direction, so that texture that you have from using markers is at least consistent. Can't forget the inside. The A and the R. And then once you get to this part, so this was like the structure. Now on the top of your letters, you can get more just into illustrating, which is why like this kind of style, like the script style we did earlier, is like more like a faux calligraphy style, where like this type of thing I usually call like creative lettering or illustrative lettering. And then you can just have fun with it, you know, add as many details as you want from here. So a style that I really like is going in and adding, I'm just going to go straight in with my fine liner, adding a really thin line right on the around the inside. And I'm using the 01 size fine liner. Had to look up and make sure I didn't pull this off screen. I feel like sometimes, like when I do little details like this, I just want to like pull it in real close and have to make sure I'm not pulling it off camera. Just adding a really thin line, and you can see by doing that, it's so simple, but it really starts to give your letters some more personality. Okay, I just have the T left. So definitely let me know if you guys have any questions, because we still have enough time left that if there was something really specific you wanted me to demo, I would be able to throw that into the stream. All right, so I got those little lines in there. And then something I did on my example for this is I added little waves into here, and I'll just show you how I drew my guidelines for that as well. So first I'm going to go through and just clean the top part of this letter up even more. Now that I have a lot of the base in there for all my guidelines, I won't be needing those guidelines again. All right. You see how fast those pens dried as well, like erased right over them. So I'm going to be using the blue, like the dark, medium, and light blue King Art set. But really, you don't have to go dark to light with this. You could just do, you know, a variety of colors, because I know some of the like King Art sets, they aren't all dark to light. Like some of them are more like a different color palette that doesn't have you know, a range as much. But I think this will work with anything. I like immediately thought of waves with this set that I got in my box, so that's what I went with. And I just started making like my squiggly wave lines across the whole letter. So added in one squiggle. And then my next squiggle of waves, I want to make sure is not just like completely following that exact same path. I want it to kind of like be a little bit different so that there's a variety in where these guidelines are. And if you can't see it well right now, I'll show you close up in a second, because I know that this is kind of lighter. Oops, that one went all the way down. There we go. Okay. So you can see I added in those guidelines, and that is going to tell me where I need to put each color on each letter. But overall, it's going to just be like one big wave pattern. And this would be very evident in like if I had the time to draw out like ArtSnacks, and you could see the whole, you know, wave across the whole word. So I'm going to start out with my darkest blue first and go in and fill in the dark blue. I'm using a pretty light hand on this too, because I have to kind of like go over it a lot, and I don't want to oversaturate one area. So I'm just following the little guidelines I made for myself. And I'm not going all the way to the edge. I'm staying within that the tinier fine liner line we put on there. And now this one goes all the way up. And if you saw on Mix a while ago, I did this whole like ocean wave motif that I posted right when I got my box, because these colors just were giving beach. So that's what it made me think of. And if you've been paying attention to ArtSnacks socials, you'll see that they teased the markers that are coming in next quarter's box, which I'm very excited about. They're alcohol based, and we get to do alcohol marker techniques then, which are some of my favorite to teach. There's lots of little tips and tricks out there for alcohol markers, and really fun. I really love doing alcohol marker techniques. And I have to say that the sticker next quarter is really cute too. But I'm a little biased because I did do that one, so. All right, so I have first two colors, and then my last one's going to be that light, the lightest blue. So you certainly don't have to do waves or anything, but I think it is a fun exercise to go through and put in an illustration on top of your letters that goes through all, you know, the whole word that you're drawing. So there we go. There are some illustrated block letters. And then I wanted to, if no one has any questions specifically about these, I was going to go into an example that I started, but I stopped at a part where I thought it would be really helpful for you guys to see, to do other different styles of block letters. So I'll start on that, but if you have a question, definitely let me know. I was going to pull up really quick. Oof, I've done so many doodles this quarter with this box. It was a very like on the go box, so I feel like I was bringing it everywhere with me. This is the wave pattern I did with it. So like when I first got my box, I was like, oh, this is perfect for this. I've done this kind of motif before in the past, and waves are like one of my favorite things to draw over and over again. So I recreated it with this box. And let me get back to the example I started drawing. So this example is a little bit different, and I'm going to change this just a little bit and hold it closer. So this is going to be showing more like the main part of the letter is on the side of these boxes, and then the 3D part is the one that's like coming towards you. And so I wanted to show like how I built like my guidelines for this. So because we might not be able to get through the entire thing, but I'll get as far as I can. So first, before I before I just like tried to jump in and just start this style, I could have illustrated each one individually, but I really like for a bigger word like this and a more complex block style, I drew in some guidelines that I actually like measured with. So these two lines here, these ones, here we go. Let me. So both of these lines here are an inch apart. And then, so all of like these two are the same apart, and then these ones are the same apart from itself. So all of these blocks have the same dimensions. And then I was able to go in, instead of drawing each letter first, I went in and just drew all these blank boxes first. And then I'm going on top of that and drawing the letter on them. So let me finish a couple letters a little bit more, and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. And I'll press down harder with my mechanical pencil here, so it's going to show up on here. So working with the A, I drew the A on that side face of this little box that I drew. And then it's not going to come all the way to the edge of this box, but it just gave me a really good guide to start with. So I know I need to like pull the top of my A is going to be like the top of the box. It's actually going to be a little bit flatter than that. But it's going to follow that side. And then this whole part is going to drop down and end with the side of that box. So like drawing letters, like if you like, I think eventually, you know, or drawing the T or something like an N that is going to be more square shaped is going to be easier to interpret how to put that on. But when you have a variety of letters and you have A's and R's with like the curves in it, it's a lot easier to draw these like little boxes for yourself and then put the letter inside of them. It's a lot more setup, but your result is going to be a lot crisper and a lot more consistent. So let's just keep going and drawing all of the letters. So it's going to follow the top, and then the curved part is going to drop off there. I'm not going to be able to see the curve go all the way behind the letter. But the bottom part, I need to add that into the A too. It is going to, we are going to be able to see that bottom piece there. And I am pressing down pretty hard with my pencil here, so I hope you're able to see it. I feel like it's showing up a lot better. So I drew my T there on the side, and then just filling in, using those angles from the existing little box that I drew. And I went ahead and made all my boxes the same size. You can get down to like, you know, maybe a W would be like your widest box compared to like the letter I or something like that. But those are more nuanced things you can get in on like a per design basis. And that I didn't really give too much thought to right now. So there we have the T. And so next would be the S, which is going to be tricky. And I actually I've done this style in the past before and like found a lot, like I didn't draw all the guidelines for myself. And then when I was running into, you know, the letter S and stuff, it was becoming a lot trickier. So that's why I went in to draw these boxes or came up with that method to then know that like the face of my letter needed to be able to fit on this box. So they would all be the same size, at least in that way. So go in, I'm sketching out my letter S on there first, trying to keep in mind some of the angles, that this is at a slight angle here. So trying to draw it in that little box. And now I'm drawing the outline, starting to make it a little bit blockier. And then this little edge of the S is going to line up with the diagonal here. So we draw that diagonal onto there. This might be a little bit wonky. It's not going to be perfect, but it's at least going to be consistent with our other letters. And then we know it's going to go straight out to the side and then curve under the S here. So it's definitely helpful to use these little boxes and guidelines. All to make this look realistic, it's really all just about like consistency with the angles that you're using. So we have our arts. Now we have arts here. And then an N. So first, I actually am going to just draw like my N shape here first. We'll go in and block it out. So I drew that on the face of the box that we have. And then I'm going to go in and get the rest of that shape, that 3D shape, drawn in. And like letters like this are a lot easier because you can go the full height and width of that little box that you drew yourself. Another A. I made this style of A slightly different, so let me just go and make it match my other A. There you go. Let me check my time. Okay. I think we'll be able to get this outlined and on to like the next step. If I move quickly here, it's like if I move quickly, but this is something, it's hard to move quick if you're doing something that's so precise. ArtSnacks. There we go. Next we'll do the K. And because I am showing you so much stuff that is, you know, like using all these angles and stuff, you can get like practice sketch pads that are like a dot paper or grid paper. And that can be a really good way to practice some of these techniques that, you know, it would be a little bit more intuitive where you need to put all of your guidelines that way. Dropping that down. The S side is going to go all the way out to there. Again, just recycling the angles that you already have drawn. Okay, so we got ArtSnacks, all of our block letters. And I was like looking at this, I think I could go and like fill up some of this space a little bit more, so it like make the letters a little bit, I guess, bubbly-er. But they are at least all, they're like, it has the same center line. So I'm happy with that. So let's go in now, and we gotta decide. I think our sun is actually gonna come from this side this time. And we're gonna color some stuff in. But first, let's do some fine lining. I'm gonna go in again with the 08 size and do the face of all the letters. Does anybody have any end of summer activities you're getting up to, or has school already started for some of you back in whatever that means for you, whether you're getting kids or family members off to school or you are also a student yourself? We are in Seattle. School hasn't exactly started yet, so it's still a little bit summery here. My big end of summer activity is this weekend. Seattle has a big video game convention, so I'll be at that this weekend, which is pretty fun. And then after that, it is back to school stuff. All right, so I got the face of my letters on there, and then I'm going to go in with a smaller fine liner and do the sides, like the back side of the letter. Yeah, I am excited. I'm doing a very low-key cosplay for the video convention, so it's very comfortable. So I'm not going, it's not like full-blown realistic costume, but I'll be dressing up as Kirby. So I'll just be wearing all pink. And then if you're familiar with Kirby, you know that he wears like a lot of different hats. And so I made myself his sleeping cap. So I'm going to be a sleepy Kirby at PAX. So I'm super pumped for that. And my daughter she wanted to be Kirby, so we've pretty much planned our entire outfits around what she wanted to be. And then I was like, and she wanted us all to be Kirby. So I was like, fair enough. So we're all going to be Kirby tomorrow. Okay, so drew in the back of all of the letters. And now we're going to put some color in to make all of these letters look a little bit more convincing of like where the light is coming from. So I'm going to do the light blue on the face of all the letters.
Hello, Caitlin.
Hello.
Hopping in here like I always do. You got about 15 minutes left.
Great. I think that is the perfect amount. We'll be able to get the majority of this all finished up. So I got that light blue on the front, and then we can go in with, I'm just going to go in with my medium blue because it was already pretty dark, and we can go with that on the side. All of the insides of those will be dark blue as well. It's easy to forget about like the letters with cutouts, to make sure you draw on that part too. And I realized the S's would have that little part in it as well. Same with this. So easy to forget the little detail parts. All right, so you can kind of see that where the sun's coming from, we have its face, it's on the face of those letters and casting, you know, a darker shadowy area. And I can actually go in with my darkest one and darken up the sides of this even more, because the top would be just slightly lighter since the sun is coming from that area. Go in and make this even more convincing. And these markers just layer really well on top of each other. Okay, so got that going. And then one other little detail you can do is adding in a shadow then behind the letters like this. So the little shadow would be coming from the back. And you can get to, like, you can start to make like a really intricate shadow shape that's going to be exactly the same, like if it was a really harsh sun, exactly the same shape as your letter. But I would just stick to generalizing the shape a little bit so that you don't have to worry about, you know, exactly how far it's going to come up on the letter behind it and what shape it's going to be. This is a quick and easy way to do that. With the other way, you're going to have to do stuff with guidelines and draft it all out. So this is just like the quick way to do that. It's just to kind of continue that shape, or at least the width. Yeah, and so now we have our letters that look like they're like giant sculptures in the sun. So that's pretty fun. And again, you can go in with this, with your fine liners, and really start to embellish everything. You can break out your one of your paint pens that came in your box and add little dots and highlights and all that kind of stuff, and really go all out on it. So definitely post what you create with these techniques, with the brush lettering and the block lettering, and post on Mix and tag me in it so I can see it, because I would love to see what you create. I love how this little demo turned out. I think it's really cute. Oh yeah, Mix. Sarah just dropped down the link. It's mix.artsnacks.co. It is free to join, and it's our own little private community. and you don't have to be a subscriber to join. You can just go and sign up. But there are all like a bunch of art snackers there and a bunch of people practicing all different kinds of art. And you have people who are really experienced, people who are just beginners, huge range. But I always say that Mix is the friendliest corner of the internet. So definitely come and hang out with us there. And you'll get to see a bunch of different artworks. And my favorite part is just seeing like what everybody is doing with their boxes. And it is so inspiring to see like how people use the supplies. Just like me, like I got my supplies and thought like ocean for everything with the colors I got. And someone else will get theirs and it will trigger something else that is inspirational. So I love seeing like what all people create with that. And I did just want to touch, I said I would give you a closer look of my finished drawings from last time. So I wanted to give you a little preview of that. This was another block lettering one I did that was a 1 point perspective going back. I'll just find that. So this was the drawing. I finished this like after my last live stream. It took, I think it took a couple days. It was a little bit long after my first live stream. It wasn't a quick thing. But this, the technique I used was not going in directly with the water soluble crayon. I took my brush pen and I used like the crayon basically as a palette, and I just kept dipping my brush onto because it's wet because I have it filled up with water. And I just kept dipping my brush onto the graphite crayon and then drawing it onto the paper. So yeah, it was really fun. So yeah, this is all graphite, but it definitely has that more like watercolory kind of look to it. And I did have to go in with like a couple different areas, like the whites of the eye, like a highlight of the eyes. And let me see, I darkened up this area a little bit too much. So I did go into a couple of those little highlight areas with a white gel pen. But most of this I was able to plan out and be able to leave it with its own highlight. Like all of the hair highlight and everything is just the paper itself. So this was really fun, but I was only able to give such a small preview of this because this was a technique that took a while during the stream. And so I was excited. In case anybody was here from the last one, I wanted to be able to show you guys how it turned out. And I was definitely, I haven't done like very much like intense portraiture in the last few years. So that was a fun little exercise for me. And this was the one that we did during stream, if you missed that one. So you can go and check out that one. Apparently I was on my Padme Star Wars kick at the time. But yeah, thank you so much for joining today. And just to review, in case like you happen to be hopping in here at the very end, we did our block lettering styles and we did brush lettering styles, and we kind of went over the foundational skills you need to do those different techniques. And we were using supplies from the summer ArtSnacks quarterly box, mostly these fine liners from King Art and the brush pen markers from King Art as well. And yeah, I'm excited to join you guys next month or next month, yeah, next quarter in general, for alcohol marker techniques and some other fun stuff. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, there's still time to subscribe so you can get the next box. We are featuring alcohol markers in the next one. So you have basically until, let's see, today's the 29th, the 31st to subscribe and claim your box for, this is technically the fall box. I know it's still, I don't know, it was like 70 degrees today here in Boston, but we are diving headfirst into fall. So definitely grab that box if you'd like. So Caitlin, I just want to thank you for this awesome lesson. And I think this is a pretty timeless lesson because lettering and techniques for this are perfect for just like continuing the practice of hand lettering. So it's going to live on YouTube forever.
Awesome.
All right. Well, take it away, Caitlin.
All right. Well, like Sarah said, we'll be doing alcohol marker techniques next quarter. Excited to join you guys then. And thank you so much for coming and hanging out tonight. I had a lot of fun. Kind of like going back to my roots with lettering. I feel like it's where I started blossoming as an artist. So that was really fun. And don't forget to check out Mix and find me on there and post what you make. So I will see you guys in Mix on the meantime until the next live stream. But it was a blast hanging out with you guys. So I'm going to sign off. I'll see you next time.
See ya.